Hey everybody, this is Cyrus, supernatural and afterlife researcher and author. And in tonight's episode, I should say tonight's second episode, because this is my second upload tonight, I want to talk about some scientific evidence of out of body experiences. And this is just one subject. I don't want to say proof, but I would say evidence. And this is in response to a lot of skeptics who always say, show me the evidence, show me the proof. There's no proof that, any of this is real besides just being stories. We know this isn't true because there's a lot of different experiments that have been done in this field. I think some of the best evidence really is via remote viewing, which is practiced by the U.S. military and other governments around the world. And that's not necessarily out-of-body experiencing, but it is a similar principle because you're displacing your consciousness someplace else and picking up verifiable information. So if that can happen, then a lot of other things can happen too. But what I want to talk about right now is specifically some of the experiments by George Meek. So George Meek was a retired engineer who spent, after he retired, he's a prominent engineer. He spent the subsequent 30 years of his life researching this stuff, the afterlife, out-of-body experiences, etc. He became one of the most well-known, well-respected parapsychological researchers of all time because he applied some hard science to the field. And among them, he became known for his out-of-body experience work, and he became clearly a very talented out-of-body experiencer. This is not something I am able to do. I can't just sit on a chair and decide, okay, time for me to leave my body. But Meek got really good at this. So he actually built a laboratory using highly sensitive camera equipment. I believe it was it had some kind of infrared quality about it as well. I don't have all the specs about the experiment, so I'm sorry for being lazy in that respect. And I can maybe do some more research in the future about exactly how Meek performed this experiment, but it looks pretty straightforward. Basically, he the brunt of it, the really difficult part was being able to go out of body, on demand when he was ready to do it, and be able to have a camera system time it so that once he was out of body, it could attempt to capture images of him in his astral body. And so that's exactly what happened. If you look here on the screen, on the top screen, he's sitting in his chair, and you see him kind of fading out, like he's, part of him is a bit translucent, and there's this kind of reddish energy right there. So this is him beginning to go out of his body. And on the bottom screen, you'll see him, kind of looks like he's naked, so I guess he's not projecting with his clothes on. You'll see him, I believe he might be in a different chair, or whatever the case may be. He's out of body, he's gone across the room, and that big glowy thing is what we call the silver cord, or the energy cord, that's connecting his astral ethereal body to his physical body. And so many people see this when they go out of body, and people see this when they have near-death experiences. And so he was able to displace himself, get out of body, get to this position, and his highly sensitive camera equipment was able to capture him. You can see that he's translucent in this photograph because this is his astral ethereal body. It doesn't mean that the astral ethereal body is always translucent, but we're dealing with a spectrum here, a frequency, when you're partially on that side, partially on this side. So that's why there's that transparency. And so this is really cool. Of course, Meek has done a lot of other work as well. There was a lot of pioneering instrumental transcommunication that came about via Meek. Meek's wife, Jeanette, died before he did, and then Meek would come home and have long emails from Jeanette on his computer. I should say, I think documents were open. And this was a long time ago, so it was probably back when we were using very, very primitive first edition of Windows, or the first Apple computers that just had a little bit of basic word processing software. And Jeanette would have these long kind of scrambled messages, but it was clearly a communication from her, and that's interesting as well. Meek helped develop with a guy named Bill O'Neill the Spiricom. That territory is a bit more contentious, but basically it was this apparent two-way electronic voice communication apparatus where his worker, basically Bill O'Neill, was able to communicate to a couple of different entities coming through that device. And if you looked it up online, it's interesting. I mean, it sounds kind of like a long extended EVP communication. So you hear it kind of sounds like a very digitized voice with clear, distinctive words coming through. So it sounds kind of like, hello, this is Dr. Mueller, Bill O'Neill. Where are you, Bill? Can you hear me, Bill O'Neill? It has this kind of digitized robotic sound about it. And that was the Spiricom. Again, contentious. Some skeptics say that it wasn't legitimate because we never heard George Meek using the Spiricom. It was only this one guy who claimed that only he had the ability to use the Spiricom, which I can totally get why some skeptics would raise their eyebrows at that. The point being is that George Meek was a pioneer. He was able to do this kind of stuff. He was one of the first ITC researchers. And it would be great if somebody would replicate this experiment. I would have never imagined that this was possible. And, there's always a little bit of doubt, a little bit of skepticism in this field. Was Meek making this kind of stuff up? Back in the days before image editing software, I mean, it's even crazier to see an image like this, like on the bottom one. And even so, it's just like, I really don't think George Meek was somebody who was dishonest. He was a truth seeker. And so this experiment to me constitutes some tangible, hard evidence of these out-of-body states. And it's up to us to take this stuff more seriously and replicate these types of experiments, because personal experiences are great, but some people out there, they have to have the scientific proof, and we do need more of that. Well, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please help out. Hit the subscribe button. I've got some links down below if you're interested in checking out any of my books, Understanding Life After Death, The Afterlife and Beyond. We have the website, Afterlife Topics. We have the big group on Facebook, almost 8,000 people, interesting discussions every single day. And of course, if you want to become basically a patron of the work that we do at Afterlife Topics, you want to take some classes, we do 2 classes a week discussing this kind of stuff with big group roundtable discussions. It's a lot of fun. That's $30 a month if you want to sign up, and that money directly supports this work that I'm doing, which takes up a lot of my time. And so you can find info about that at Afterlife University, which a link to that is also in the description. And that's it. I will see you on the next video.